Good morning. So we'll be starting with the new chemistry chapter today. Before I introduce the name of the chapter, we'll be understanding few facts. Now, how do we get energy or how do we get energy to perform various life processes activities? Now, what do you mean by life processes activities? Activities like breathing, circulation of our blood, excretion, digestion, etc. So to perform these activities, we require energy and we get the energy from the food we eat, right? What type of food? The food which contains micronutrients as well as macronutrients, right? So we get the energy. That means I can tell that my body requires some fuel to perform some work. That means food is acting as a fuel for my body to perform some work or to perform various activities, day-to-day activities in our life. Now similarly, now this was about the living beings what I was talking, living thing what I was talking. Now similarly, if I talk about all non-living things around us, say for example I take vehicles. We see so many varieties of vehicles around us, right? How are they functioning? How are they running? So they also require some food, right? Now food in the sense, not the type of food what we eat, but the type of food what the vehicle requires to function. That is nothing but they require petrol, diesel, etc. That means these petrol and diesel are the fuel for the vehicles to run. Sometimes if I still go to the olden part, I can also tell that the steam engine also where coal is required. That means these are the fuel for the functioning of these vehicles. It acts as a food for these vehicles. So fuels are the food for the vehicles to function. Now what are all these? When I talk about fuels like petrol, coal, etc., these are all natural resources. Right? The resources which are available in our earth crust, which are useful to us, are called as natural resources. So today in our class, we will be discussing with one of the such natural resources as coal and petroleum. We will be studying what is coal, what is petroleum, what are the different petroleum products, how are they obtained, how are they formed. We will be studying in this chapter. So before that, as we have termed, coal and petroleum are termed as natural resources. But before understanding a natural resource, we will first understand what are resources. Now, basically if I have to tell what are resources, anything which is useful to us is a resource material. This pen is a resource, this pointer or this stick is a resource. Why? Because I am using it for my purposes, right? So anything which is useful to us is called as a resource. Resource is the source or supply from which we can benefit in some way. This is just a definition of a resource. It is a source or a supply from which we can benefit in some way. Now how am I benefiting with this pen? I am using it for writing. How am I benefiting with this pointer? I am using this to point certain things here. So in any way which is benefiting to us are known as resources. Now when we talk about resources, there are two types of resources: natural resources, man-made resources. The name itself is very clear to understand. Natural resources obtained from nature. The resources which are readily available in the nature are called as natural resources. Then man-made resources, resources made by human beings. Now this pen is a man-made resource. Now when I talk about air outside, that's a natural resource, correct? This chair is a man-made resource. Similarly, so resources which are obtained from nature directly are called as natural resources. Resources which are made by humans for our benefit and for our use are called as man-made resources. Now in this chapter, more of man-made resources, we will be discussing about natural resources here, right? Now, natural resources when we talk about, we will bifurcate or further classify the natural resources in terms of inexhaustible natural resources, exhaustible natural resources. Again, here the name suggests very clearly, inexhaustible natural resources means inexhaustible. The resources which cannot get exhausted even after continuous use. We are using it for our purpose, for our benefit, right? But still the resources are not getting exhausted. They replenish again and again. Those are called as inexhaustible natural resources. Example, solar energy. What is solar energy? The energy which we get from the sun. Sun is the ultimate source of energy. So, energy which we can derive from the sun, solar energy. Wind energy. Now, when I talk about solar energy, how you can say? We all know about solar cookers, solar water heaters, solar light, right? Those all are derived from the sun. How it is used? You study this in your 10th standard. So these are inexhaustible resources which will not get exhausted even after continuous usage. Wind energy. We can also derive electricity from the wind energy through windmills, right? Exhaustible natural resources. Resources which get exhausted after a certain period of time. That means there are only limited resources. When we go on using it again and again over the period of time, those resources will start getting exhausted. Example, fossil fuels. What are fossil fuels? We will discuss now further. Now when I talk about coal, petroleum, all this will come under fossil fuels only. Forest, wildlife, these are the example for exhaustible natural resources. Now basically if I have to tell what are fossil fuels, those are the fuels which were obtained deep inside the earth crust due to the decomposition of plant and animals. Now when these plants, animals die, they are buried or they are submerged into deep inside the earth's crust over millions and millions of years. Now that forms a fossil fuels, right? These fossil fuels are getting exhausted day by day of our uses. How? Petrol, petroleum, different products of petroleum, all these things. That is because the time taken for the fossil fuels to form is about millions of years, and we are just using it or depleting it by few years. That is why we have very less fossil fuel left, right? So in the whole chapter we'll be discussing about that. Forest and wildlife will also come under exhaustible natural resources. How can you see that now forest and wildlife are getting exhausted? Why? Because if there is no forest, there will be no wildlife. If we are cutting down the forest, the trees for our various for technological things or for various purposes, where will be the forest? And if no forest, there will not be a wildlife. So these are types of resources, exhaustible and inexhaustible. Now let's move further. When we talk about fossil fuels, first let us understand what is a fuel. Now here fuel, when we talk, it is not about the food what we eat, it is the fuel what we use for the vehicles or different purposes where we use it. A fuel is a substance that releases large amount of energy in the form of heat and light when burned. A fuel is a substance which releases large amount of energy in the form of heat and light when burned. That means when we burn the fuel, that gives us enormous amount of energy in the form of heat as well as light, but we have to burn that. That is called as a fuel. Now what could be fuel? Fuel can be LPG at home, it can be CNG, it can be firewood, it can be petrol, it can be diesel, all biogas, all these are fuels which releases large amount of energy in the form of heat and light when burnt, right? So when we talk about fuels, there are solid fuels, liquid fuels and gaseous fuel. Now which are solid fuels, we'll see. What are solid fuels? Fuels which remain solid at room temperature are called as solid fuels. Now coal is a solid fuel. Now you can ask me where coal is used. Coal is used in the steam engine, right? It is also used in many of the power plants. Now how and why, you again study in your higher classes. We will be discussing in brief about these uses. We'll also know how coal was formed, right, later. So fuels which remain solid at room temperature are called as solid fuels. Example, coal, firewood, charcoal, coke. Coke is not the one which you get in in the stores or outside there. So this is one of the fuel actually, etc. You can see the pictures given in the book of coke, charcoal, coal and all. Liquid fuels. Liquid fuels are basically volatile. We say liquid fuels are basically volatile fuels, or those are volatile liquids. Now what do you mean by the word volatile? Volatile is something which vaporizes quickly or immediately or spontaneously at room temperature also. Like anything you just keep, it immediately vaporizes. Those are called as volatile liquids. Petrol, diesel are volatile liquids. Now if you take a petrol and just keep it open for a long period of time, it starts evaporating quickly, right? Now simple. Now petrol is a very, like, you might have not experienced or not seen. Now let's talk about acetone. What is acetone? Your nail polish remover is called as a acetone. Just take acetone and just pour some acetone on your palm. Will acetone stay? No, it evaporates quickly, right? Just a comparison what I want to give you. That's the meaning of volatile. So volatile liquids are the liquids which vaporizes even at the room temperature. So these come under liquid fuels. So all liquid fuels are volatile liquids like petrol, diesel, etc. Gaseous fuel. Gaseous fuel are the type of the fuel which are formed in gaseous form, or which are found in gaseous form. For example, natural gas, CNG, biogas, etc. CNG is compressed natural gas. We'll all be discussing about these terms later in the chapter. So now when we discussed about fuel, why and where do we use these fuels actually? We use these fuels in transportation, we use it in cooking, we use it in heating, electricity production, industrial usage, rockets and other space vehicle. How do we use it? For example, when we talk about transportation, what types of fuel we use in transportation? In transportation we use petrol, diesel, CNG, etc. Right? In cooking, what type of fuel you use in cooking? We use LPG, we use firewood, all these things we use in cooking. We use even kerosene sometimes for cooking, right? So you might have not seen, but there are even kerosene stoves or something where we use it for cooking actually. Heating. Many fuels are used for heating actually. Electricity production. Now as I had told, coal is used in the power plant. So many different types of fuels are used in the power plant to produce electricity. You again study this in detail about power plants in your 10th grade. Now power plant is a plant where electricity is produced. Now one we know hydro power plant, it uses water. Thermal power plant, it uses coal, that means through heat it is produced. So these are nuclear power plant, it uses nuclear energy, or it can use radioactive material, all this. There are different power plants where it is used to produce electricity. Then next it is used in industrial usage. Many different types of fuels are used in industry to run the heavy machineries and to produce heat. Rockets and other space vehicle. Fuel in the form of a propellant. Now basically what fuel we use in our vehicles, in rockets it is called as a propellant. I'll not go much deep in that, but fuel in the form of propellant is used in rockets and other space vehicles. So these all places, or this is we use it in these many forms or these many types. Now when we use this fuel in these, like in transportation, cooking, heating, etc., what are the characteristics of these fuels actually? What we look? Now suppose tomorrow you go to buy few things in market. You actually look for something, right? What are the things? What is the, you go shopping to buy clothes. You want to know the texture of a particular cloth, how it looks, color, how cheap it is, how it is simple to wear, or we look for so many qualities in whatever we choose, right? From our clothes to electronic goods, right? From our mobiles. When we buy mobiles, we buy our smartphones, we look for so many features. Whether it is affordable, whether it is quite expensive, what is the memory, and so many things. Similarly, we are using these fuels. What are the qualities which look into these fuels? So what are the characteristics of a good fuel? What we can say? We will understand that. So what are the characteristics of good fuel? What are the features or what things we actually look for the fuel what we use? There are some points. Should be economical. Now that means it should be cheap enough to use. Now for example, what LPG we get it in our house, it is not as expensive as you have to pay 2,000, 3,000, example, right? It is quite economical. It is just basically an LPG example I have used, but whatever fuel we use, let that be for our, that is transportation, for cooking, for industrial, anything, on all basis. Now this economic or characteristics, we only don't look for our household purpose or for transport purpose. Now what are the uses, where all we use fuels, we had listed down, right? So there in that point of view, when you go to see, it should be economical, easy to afford, or easy, or what we are using should produce enough result with that. Easily available, correct? Now for example, let me take LPG. Now once you book your LPG, it will immediately, say for about a week or a two, you can rebook your next LPG, right? So something like that you have, no, for a month or for a two you cannot book. You can book only one LPG for 6 months. You get your second LPG after 6 months, right? We are not in that condition. We don't undergo. That means easily available to us, right? Again, not only LPG here, generally what we are talking about. Any fuels what we look should be easily available to us, available to common man or wherever we are using. Do not emit poisonous gas on burning. True. So when we are using this fuel, though the fuel is economical and easily available, when we are using it for our purpose, for cooking, transportation, for industrial usage, wherever, it should not give out poisonous gases which could be dangerous to us as well as for atmosphere. Should produce large amount of heat with respect to its mass, that is nothing but high calorific value. Now what do you mean by calorific value? Just understand, anything which gives us energy, large amount of energy on burning with respect to its mass. That means for example, I am using, now assume that I have a gas stove and I have a LPG at home, okay. In gas stove I am using kerosene as a fuel, wherein here I am using LPG. Now when I am burning both, to cook the food I am using LPG as well as kerosene stove there. It should produce large amount of heat energy. Large amount of heat means how much ever heat it is producing, that is actually good, right? My food is cooked fast. It is producing slightly lesser heat than the LPG. Now kerosene stove will produce a bit lesser heat, you assume that. The food what is being cooked in 1 hour, this will take 2 hours. That means heat is produced. It is taking lots of time, consuming. So what we can say, should produce large amount of heat with respect to mass. That is nothing but it should have a high calorific value. Calorific values are different for different fuels, okay. Easy to transport and handle. Yes, LPG what we get in our house, you think it is very easy to transport? Of course, yes. And handle also? Yes, of course. You don't require 5 to 10 laborers there to bring it to your house, then to carry it. No, right? You've seen how LPG cylinders are delivered at your doorstep. So, easy to transport and handle all the fuels when we talk about. Do not produce bad odor. Now, when we talk about kerosene has an odor, petrol has an odor, right? But you can withstand that odor. You go to a petrol pump to fill petrol in your vehicle. Can you withstand that petrol smell? To a level, some of them cannot. But it is not to that level that you cannot withstand the smell and you faint and you fall. Correct, right? That means it should not produce bad odor. In the sense, you cannot tolerate that smell. That is something called as a very bad odor. Here we can, yes, to a level we can tolerate that smell. Clean and do not produce ashes. Now, clean and do not produce ashes means, I compare two fuels here. I will compare LPG and I'll compare here firewood. Right? In olden days, we used to use this to cook the food. Now we use LPG. It does not produce any ashes. That means on burning, it is giving me a large amount of heat. Firewood also will give me large amount of heat on burning, but it produces ashes. Right? We have seen those sooty flame, what we call sometimes, or black sooty thing, which actually those are nothing but ashes. Another simple example, if I tell you, we use fuel, that is petrol, in your two-wheeler or four-wheeler, right? So when we clean and do not produce means when we burn them. Now how do we burn petrol? How do we burn here? By cooking we burn. Here also by cooking we burn. There how do we burn? Our vehicle uses it. We run our vehicles. So the petrol is burnt in our vehicle, right? So there it leaves out the ashes or leaves out the waste product, what I can tell, through the exhaust valve, right? In the form of carbon monoxide. That also we get tested more often. Emission test, what we talk about for that. Which carbon monoxide is very bad, right? So anything, any fuel on burning produces energy. It also produces waste thing. Now food is a fuel for our body. Whatever food we eat, do you think whole of the food is digested? No. We study that in the digestion process. Whatever food we eat, our stomach will slowly start the process of digestion from stomach to small intestine. Small intestine, after digestion, it go undigested food will go to large intestine, right? Digested food from small intestine is absorbed by our body. Large intestine, what waste is there? That is expelled out, correct? That means any fuel, food is a fuel, anything we use should be clean. Do not produce ashes. Now, in terms of, if I say cooking, LPG is termed to be one of the most cleanest fuel, right? And in terms of vehicles, CNG is termed to be one of the most cleanest fuel, which do not produce ashes or it do not pollute the environment. LPG stands for liquefied petroleum gas. CNG stands for compressed natural gas. Then should not ignite easily at room temperature. Should not ignite easily at room temperature means we also look for its ignition temperature. Now what is ignition temperature? It is a temperature at which the given substance can burn. That means we look for a substance, we look for a fuel which has a high ignition temperature. Now what do you mean by high ignition temperature? You have LPG at home, you have kerosene, you have petrol. Does all of a sudden will it catch fire? No, it does not catch fire. You have a matchbox also. Will matchbox catch fire? No. When does it catches fire? When you take the stick, the side which is there, right? Those all things are different. That means those will not catch fire by itself, right? They all have high ignition temperature. They ignite at very high temperature. That means they do not burn easily. Now, if I talk about a metal, sodium. Sodium is a metal. Now, we all should know that if you have studied or not studied, sodium is always stored in kerosene. Yes, kerosene, not any other thing. Assume that this is sodium. I always store this sodium in a kerosene bottle. Why? Because sodium, if it is kept outside, it reacts with atmospheric air or oxygen and it catches fire. Assume this is sodium, I just keep on a table. The minute I just from my hand to table itself, it can catch fire because its ignition temperature is low, it is less. Sodium has a very low ignition temperature. It can catch fire easily when exposed to air. That means it catches fire with the atmospheric oxygen, right? So we store it under kerosene. So the fuel what we use should have a high ignition temperature, should not ignite easily at room temperature. These all things, these all parameters or features or characteristics we look into a good fuel what we use. So in today's class we understood from coal and petroleum chapter what are resources, man-made resources, natural resources, from natural resources, inexhaustible, exhaustible, and in that we understood what are fossil fuels, different types of fuels, where all we use these fuels, and what are the characteristics of wood fuel. In tomorrow's class, we'll understand about some other product, that is, we'll understand about coal, how coal was formed and its properties and uses. So in today's class, if you have any doubt, you can call on the same day of the video set. Thank you.